Have you ever felt like you're playing a game but you don't actually know the rules, especially when it comes to money? Well, that's the exact feeling Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad just dives right into. And look, this isn't just another book. It's a total mindset shift that has literally changed the financial futures for millions of people. It all comes down to the lessons he learned from two very different father figures in his life. And their completely opposite beliefs, well, they reveal the secrets that really separate the wealthy from pretty much everyone else.
So how are we going to break all this down? Well, we're going to journey through 5 key areas. We'll kick things off with that foundational story, A Tale of Two Dads, and then we'll jump into the new rules of money. After that, we're going to explore how to think like an entrepreneur, figure out how to conquer those inner obstacles by mastering your financial mind, and finally, we'll put all the pieces together to create your blueprint for freedom.
All right, let's start right at the beginning, with the story that really sets the stage for everything else. You know, this simple contrast in A Tale of Two Dads is the foundation for every single lesson that comes after it. So it's the perfect place for us to start. So on one hand, you've got Poor Dad. That was his biological father. He was a brilliant, highly educated guy who played by all the old rules. You know, get a good job, work really hard, and look for that security. But on the other hand, you had Rich Dad, his best friend's father. Now this guy was a street-smart, self-made millionaire who didn't just understand money, he understood the game of money. And he's the one who taught Kiyosaki the real principles of creating wealth.
And that brings us to maybe one of the most game-changing ideas in the entire book. The rich don't work for money. Their money works for them. Just think about that for a second. Poor Dad followed that traditional path we all know. You trade your time for a paycheck. But Rich Dad taught a totally different lesson. True freedom comes from owning assets that generate income for you even while you sleep. We're talking about things like investments, businesses, stuff that puts money in your pocket, growing your wealth long after you've clocked out for the day.
So how do you actually get your money to work for you? Well, it all starts with understanding the new rules of money. And Kiyosaki's big point here is that your financial literacy, basically your money smarts, is so much more valuable than your formal education when it comes to building actual, real wealth.
At the very heart of this is a really simple but profound distinction. You have to know the difference between an asset and a liability. So an asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. Think about a rental property that brings in cash every month, or stocks that pay you dividends, or a business that runs without you. That's the goal.
Liabilities, on the other hand, are all the things that take money out of your pocket. You know that car you're making payments on every single month? That's a liability. Your credit card debt? Total liability. Just understanding this one difference is really the first big step toward financial clarity.
And this is where the paths of Poor Dad and Rich Dad just completely split. You see, even with all his academic brilliance, Poor Dad struggled because he just didn't have this financial education. Rich Dad, though, was obsessed with how money works, how to invest it, how to leverage it, and how to use it to build even more wealth. The wealthy don't just earn and spend, they focus on cash flow. They want their money moving, working for them, not just sitting in a bank account losing its value. They are always on the lookout for opportunities to make their money grow.
And here's a little secret weapon the wealthy use. They get the power of corporations and taxes. Kiyosaki points out this huge difference in how money flows. As an employee, you earn money, you pay your taxes, and then you spend whatever's left. But as a business owner, you earn money, you spend it on your business, and then you pay taxes on whatever is left over. It's a completely legal way to keep more of your own money working for you, and it is a total game changer.
Now that whole idea of spending first and paying taxes later, well, it leads us right into our next big concept. You have to think like an entrepreneur. And Kiyosaki isn't saying you have to go quit your day job tomorrow. What he's saying is you need to adopt an entrepreneurial mindset. While Poor Dad was busy chasing job security, Rich Dad knew that real freedom comes from owning the systems that make the money. We're talking businesses and investments. So what does this actually look like in practice? It's all about building up your asset column on the side. Maybe that means investing in some real estate, or starting a small online business, or just consistently buying stocks. It's about taking those first steps, no matter how small they seem, toward creating income streams that aren't tied directly to your time. This is how you build your own bridge from being an employee to having real financial independence.
And let's be really clear here, this is not about getting lucky. Kiyosaki is so adamant that wealth is created through financial intelligence. Rich Dad saw opportunities everywhere, not because he was some kind of gambler, but because he understood the game.
The wealthy don't avoid risk, they learn how to manage it. They take calculated risks, they invest strategically, and they see opportunities where other people only see problems. It's all about being creative, seeing what other people miss, and, most importantly, actually taking action.
But, to even spot these opportunities, you need to have the right skills. And this leads to another one of Kiyosaki's core ideas. Work to learn, not just to earn. Poor Dad was all about job security, right? But Rich Dad knew that the most valuable assets you can have are the skills that lead to financial independence. We're talking about things like sales, marketing, financial management, and leadership. These are the skills that let you create wealth, not just earn a paycheck.
Now, all of this sounds great in theory, but let's be real. There's a reason why more people aren't wealthy. The biggest battlefield you're ever going to face is your own mind. So let's talk about mastering that financial mind by tackling the 5 major obstacles that Kiyosaki says hold people back from financial success.
Okay, first up is fear, that paralyzing fear of losing money that just keeps you sitting on the sidelines. Then there's cynicism, that little voice in your head that says, oh, that'll never work, and blinds you to opportunities. Next up is laziness, which is just the comfortable path of avoiding the hard work it takes to get a financial education. Then we have bad habits, like overspending and just poor money management that sabotage all your progress. And finally, arrogance, thinking you already know it all and refusing to learn anything new. Conquering these is the real key to unlocking your financial potential.
All right, so we've talked about the mindset, the rules, and the obstacles. Now let's bring it all together and actually create your blueprint for freedom. Because at the end of the day, Rich Dad, Poor Dad isn't just a book you read. It's a completely new way of thinking. It's about embracing financial education, thinking like an entrepreneur, and actively building your own wealth. This is the path to true financial independence.
By actually putting these principles into action, you can finally break free from the rat race, that endless cycle of just working for money. You can start building a real portfolio of assets that work for you, generating income and creating a future of true financial freedom and security. So, after all is said and done, what's the one thing you should take away from all of this? Well, it's a simple yet totally life-changing idea. Stop working for money and start making your money work for you. The only question is, what's your first step going to be?